Pandora's story usually gets reduced to a single moment. She opens a jar, suffering escapes into the world, and somehow she becomes the villain of the tale. The actual myth is far more interesting than that. After the Titan Prometheus steals fire from the gods and gives it to humanity, Zeus decides that mankind must be punished. Because that makes sense, right? Mankind uses and appreciates a gift from a deity, and they are the ones at fault. Except it wasn't really the fire that was the issue. It was that they were grateful to Prometheus, not Zeus. The leader of the Olympians could not have that. Zeus likes humans to be crouched in the cold and mud, dependent solely on his good graces. To grant them some form of independence over their own lives, free will, mind you, was unacceptable. Zeus punished Prometheus, but that was not enough. Mankind had to suffer as well. Not through war, not through famine, through something much more subtle. He orders the creation of a woman. Of course he does. As with all patriarchal societies, a woman must be made to be the villain that steers them off their perfect course. When in reality, it's the choices made by men that take them down the paths they tread. But that isn't a good story, is it? At Zeus's command, the gods gather their gifts. Athena teaches skills and craftsmanship. Aphrodite grants beauty and charm. Hermes gives cleverness and persuasion, each god contributing something, until Pandora, whose name means all gifted, stands complete. She is given life by Zeus, who then welcomes her to the world by saying she has a job to do. Isn't that just par for the course? A woman wakes up and now she has to go to work? No, hey, how are you? Would you like some coffee? How about a foot massage? Nope, just get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich. Typical. Zeus takes a beautiful sealed jar, places it in her care with little to no other instructions, and sends her out amongst mankind. Think about that for a moment. Pandora does not ask for the jar. She has not created what is inside it. She doesn't even know what the contents are to make a decision on whether she accepts her role. She is just given responsibility for something she never chose, while the gods stand back and wait to see what happens. I picture high school bullies who convince the unpopular kid to give a gift to the head cheerleader, only the gift is something gross. The bullies are snickering behind the lockers, the cheerleader is screeching in disgust, and the poor unpopular kid is mortified with their reputation as that kid now solidified for the rest of their school years. That is the setup for Pandora. She is deliberately created to fail. At first, all was well. Pandora carefully guarded the jar while learning about living with mortals. The myths tell us that after quite some time, her curiosity, made stronger by the gods or goddess who gifted her with this trait, about the jar becomes more than she can ignore, and she eventually opens it. Immediately, out rushes grief, sickness, hardship, loss, and all the suffering that becomes part of the human condition. Startled and afraid, Pandora closes the lid before the final thing can escape: hope. Most retellings stop there and point a figure at Pandora. I don't. I see a woman surrounded by powers much larger than her, trying to use her as a piece on a game board. Zeus intends her to be a punishment. The other gods shape her for a purpose she never chose and which was never disclosed to her. The gods purposefully withheld the information Pandora needed to do her job well, because they wanted her to fail. They are the ones who created and sent these sufferings into the world. Sufferings designed to punish and amuse. Yet it is Pandora who was blamed for all of it. The moment she lifted that lid, something changed. For the first time, Pandora acts of her own accord. Not because Zeus told her to, not because Prometheus arranged it, not at the behest of the other gods. Pandora made her own choice. What emerges isn't merely suffering, it's truth. The reality of the world as it is, rather than the world as the gods wanted it controlled. While unintentional, the hidden things became visible, and the concealed things became known. Humanity is no longer living inside a carefully managed illusion. The outcome isn't pleasant, but then the truth rarely is. Pandora is remarkable not because she opened a box or jar, but that she becomes the first person in this story, perhaps in all the myth cycle, to exercise genuine free will without coercion. She refuses to remain a tool of Zeus and simply carry a burden she was handed without looking inside. The gods created her to serve their purposes. Instead, she becomes the person who changes the course of the world. And perhaps that's why hope remains. Not as a consolation prize, not as blind optimism. Hope remains because once truth is revealed, choice becomes possible. Pandora's gift to humanity wasn't suffering. It was the freedom to see the world clearly and actively decide what to do next.